Few of you have DM'd me about choosing a hospital in Japan to give birth to. First of all, congratulations on your pregnancies. So, as someone who has given birth at two different facilities in Japan, I'm going to break down the criteria I used to figure out which hospital worked best for me and my family for when I welcomed my babies into the world. There's a lot to consider, so I'm going to breeze through as quickly as possible. First, language support. If you speak the language already, great. You're ahead of the game. Go ahead and skip to number 2. But for the rest of us, as a first-time mother with absolutely no experience on pushing babies into the world, it's a very daunting task. Then the added complication of doing it in a foreign language. Now, I can communicate enough to get my point across, but when you're literally pushing because a life depended on it, you don't want things to get lost in translation. If you're in near around a major city like Tokyo or Kyoto, there are quite a few hospitals and clinics that provide English support. The downside to a lot of those hospitals, however, and this leads me to my next point, is budget. Usually the hospitals and clinics with language support also tend to be on the expensive side. Even though it's the same procedure everywhere, the financial cost of giving birth varies a lot in Japan. It ranges between roughly 400,000 to 800,000 yen for natural birth, not taking the government lump sum into account. So if the cost is more than the lump sum, you will be paying the difference out of pocket. And that's just for the birthing cost, which doesn't include optional medical procedures you want to consider. There are quite a few tests and procedures that you would need to pay for out of pocket, which include NIPT testing and epidurals, which are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. There's also the option in Japan where you can set an appointment within 2 weeks of your due date and induce labor, so you can schedule the birth of your baby. All for an extra cost, of course. You can literally make a reservation for everything in Japan. But not all hospitals and clinics offer these services. So if these procedures are something you're interested in and might want to utilize, make sure it's available. I was going into my first birth fully determined to have a natural birth without the epidural, but by the end of the full night of contractions and still being stuck at 3 centimeters, I was like, give me the damn drugs. Location goes without saying. Of course, whether you're driving to the hospital or taking public transportation in order to go to your prenatal checkups, this will change the situation a bit. In my case, the first birth, we chose a clinic in the middle of Tokyo. It ticked all the boxes on our list, but when it came to commuting, I had to really schedule my checkups strategically because I was not in the greatest condition to endure those rush hour trains going into the city. You're going to want to consider the commute for your checkups as well as for the actual delivery day. Last but not least, if this is your first birth, whether you have given birth before or not is going to affect all of the above. For my first pregnancy, I didn't know what to expect, and I wanted as much peace of mind knowing I could understand the staff and the staff could understand me. The second time, I had a lot more confidence, so language ability wasn't as big of a priority, and we didn't feel the need to go to such an expensive facility. Then, after experiencing the first birth, let's just say there was no doubt I was getting the epidural, and I'm so glad I did it the second time as well. That's another long story. And if you've given birth before, statistically, your second labor process is much faster than your first. So you're going to want to make sure you can get to your delivery location within enough time. I know there's a lot to consider, and I've tried to keep it as brief as possible. But as always, feel free to comment with any questions or add your own experience giving birth. And send me your DMs if you're more comfortable with that as well.